If you're not crystal clear on your marketing messaging, it is causing every single piece of marketing you put out there to underperform. So here's what to do to fix it. I talk to a lot of small business owners who are overwhelmed and frustrated with trying to communicate what they do to their target market. Now, a lot of times this comes from the fact that they try and explain it to people and people just don't get it, and they have to explain it 4 or 5 different ways. And then when people get it, they're like, oh my God, that's the coolest thing ever. But getting to that point's really hard. And the problem is that is sabotaging all of your marketing. If your marketing message is not clear, if people are not picking up on what you are trying to tell them quickly and easily, everything you're putting out there is underperforming. The reason for this is that if your marketing is confusing for people, it is causing too much emotional labor for them to understand, and therefore they're just walking away. This is how our brains are wired. We are wired to preserve our energy, to preserve our capacity. We have enough stuff going on in the day, like just trying to survive the day and process through things. We get literally millions of stimuli sent to the brain every single day to process through. So when we have the option of not engaging with something that's going to require extra effort to process through, and it's optional, and I have all these other things that are not optional, I'm gonna choose to focus my energy over here. But it may not even be a conscious choice. It may be an unconscious choice just to disengage with your marketing because it's confusing, because it does not make it easy for me. So here's what you need to do to fix that. First step is to become crystal clear on what your message is. Now, if you're anything like most small business owners, you've put a lot of effort into figuring out, what your service is and what you bring to the table and who you serve and what's the benefit and what's the benefit of the benefit and what's the benefit of the benefit of the benefit and why do people actually buy and what's your mission? And it's a little bit much. And so we're going to try and consolidate that down for you. I got 3 questions, and then I'm going to walk you through a process to actually turn that into a simple story you can use in all of your messaging. So I want you to go ahead and pull out a piece of paper or open a document. And the first question that I want you to answer is, what is it that you love about the people that you serve? What is it about them that you really get excited about? This is not necessarily about what gets you excited about serving them. That's a different question. This is, what is it that you love? What do you get excited about them as a person, right? You may love serving them because they get so excited about it and they see the breakthrough, right? For me, I love putting on our events with Grow Disrupt because I love seeing these really incredible people who have lost sight of what is awesome, reconnect with that and get reinvigorated. I love seeing the aha moments. I love it when someone comes to me with a success story and is like, hey, so Steph, we did $325,000 last year, and we're going to do almost $1 million this year because of what we learned. That, and true story, I love that. But that's not what I love about my people, okay? I love that my people are passionate visionaries. They care very deeply, and they're very excited about the vision that they are building. They have a goal, a vision, a dream, and they love it. Those are the people I love talking to, that I love engaging with, that I love having conversations with. Whether or not they go to our events, that doesn't matter. Those are the people that I love serving, the people who have a vision and care deeply about making it a reality. Second question is, what do they hate about your industry? Now, I'm going to warn you, when I did this exercise originally, I actually literally had pages and pages of what people hate about the industry. And I started with myself because I've been to plenty of self-help entrepreneur growth events. And I just started with these are all the things I hate about my industry. I hate that every event is just a thinly veiled sales pitch. I hate that the rooms are too crowded. I hate that the rooms are too cold. I hate that the music's too loud. I hate that everything is just an add-on. And I hate that they don't communicate with me in advance. And so I'm morning of the event, I'm trying to figure out where to go. I hate that overwhelmed feeling walking into the room for the first time. I had a list of all the things I hate about these events. And then once I got my list, I then went to all of the people who go to our events, and I went to plenty of people who were those passionate visionaries and asked them this even if they weren't going to our events. I said, hey, not necessarily my events, but in general, what is it about the event in the self-help industry that really drives you freaking nuts, that you really hate? And I got a bigger list. I got so much feedback back. I got, well, they care more about themselves. They're more worried about their own success stories and making themselves look really good. I got that they were more about that. I got a whole big list. And once I had my multiple pages of what everyone hates about my industry. I sat down and I said, okay, what is this really threading through? Because there's almost always a single major issue that these can all tie back to. Like, what is it that all of this is summing up into, right? And I just started trying to narrow it down. And I got it narrowed down to a few things first, right? I was like, well, people really hate that they're more exhausted at the end of their event than they were when they went to the event. They hate that when they get home, they have a big long list of to do and they just took time away from the office to go to the event. And so now they have to catch up and do all the things. And they really hate feeling of inadequacy that comes when you're being pitched constantly at these events, because that is how selling from the stage is built to work, is to make people in the audience feel like they can't do it without you. Best way to do that is make them feel less. And when I got it down to these three things, I realized what it really came down to was really just one thing. My people are so tired of losing sight of what is awesome about them. These events they go to make them feel worse about themselves in so many ways. And the reality is they deal with enough of that day to day in their office, day to day in the business. And so now I have a single thing, right? They hate how these events actually make them feel worse about themselves. These are all the ways that they do it. But what they really hate is these events make them feel worse about themselves. So I want you to do the same thing. Get your list. Get a list from your clients or your network as a whole, and then start to distill it down. And this may take you a little bit of time, but promise it's worth it. Step number 3 is going to be then asking yourself, so what is it that I really do that solves this problem? I've got it distilled down. What is it that I actually do? And when I did this for the first time, that was when I realized that we don't produce events. I'd known for a long time that people don't show up to our events for the content. I do have to be strategic with the content we bring and the speakers we hire, absolutely. But I learned that very quickly, it wasn't about the content. What I realized was the reason that we had people show up to our events in a pandemic when they were scared to leave their houses, but they still showed up, flew across the country or internationally sometimes to come to our events. And they did it because they had space to reconnect with what was awesome about them. This wasn't the event that made them feel worse about themselves. This was an event that made them feel better about themselves. And so when I realized that was what we really did, now I had my 3 answers, and I was able to piece that together into a single cohesive story that our guests, our people, are passionate visionaries who frequently lose sight of who they are, what is awesome about them, and what they need to do to grow just in the day-to-day and the busyness of life. And we create space for them to reconnect with what is truly amazing about them and what they need to do to grow. And when I realized that that was my message, and that's, short paragraph, but when I realized that was my message, it shifted all of our marketing, because now our marketing could be about, how do I use a video to make space for someone? How do I use a video to get someone to reconnect with what is awesome about them? How do I use a post to do that? How do I put on a marketing event that does that exact thing? And so it shifted how I communicate what we do. I still tell people, look, yeah, we put on events, but at the end of the day, what we really do is we create space for passionate visionaries to reconnect with who they are and what they need to do to grow their business. And we happen to do it by putting on events. You can do the same thing for your business. Take some time and figure out these 3 questions, build out your messaging. And hey, if you want to run it by me, I am more than happy to provide you with some feedback and some input on your messaging following this format, and give you some ideas on what you can do to show that messaging to people in a way that makes it very succinct and easy to understand, so they're not having to carry the emotional labor of figuring out what you do.